The massive Veltar dreadnought hung in Earth's orbit like a metallic thundercloud, its hull bristling with weapons that could crack continents. Ambassador Kethvar had seen 1,000 worlds kneel before such displays of power. The ritual was always the same: overwhelming force, demands for surrender, and the inevitable capitulation of whatever primitive species had caught the hegemony's attention. But the human sitting across from him in the sterile conference room aboard the dreadnought was smiling. "I don't understand," Kethvar said, his four arms gesturing in confusion at the holographic display showing Earth's military assets. "We have analyzed your capabilities. Your largest vessels are metal tubes filled with explosive chemicals. Your most advanced weapons split atoms, technology we mastered 3 millennia ago. Our single ship could sterilize your planet in 6 rotations of your star." Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force leaned back in her chair, that infuriating smile never wavering. "I heard your demands, Ambassador. Unconditional surrender, tribute payments, conscription of our population for your labor force. Pretty standard stuff, I imagine." "Standard, yes." Kethvar's vertical pupils dilated with annoyance. "We have conquered 47 star systems using these same methods. Your resistance is illogical." "But you haven't answered my question," Chen said, folding her hands. "Why?" The question hung in the recycled air like a puzzle Kethvar couldn't solve. In his 4 centuries of diplomatic conquest, no species had ever asked why. They screamed, they pleaded, they bargained, they wept. They never simply asked, why? "Because we can," he finally answered, his translator device struggling with the concept. "Because you are weak and we are strong. Because this is the natural order of the galaxy." Chen nodded thoughtfully. "Natural order. Interesting phrase. Tell me, Ambassador, how long has your species been spacefaring?" 8,000 of your years. "And in all that time, have you ever encountered a species that surprised you?" Kethvar's secondary arms twitched, a sign of unease among his people. "Surprised? No. Some fought harder than others. Some had interesting technologies we absorbed. But surprised? No." "Well," Chen said, standing and walking to the viewport where Earth hung like a blue marble, "today might be your first." She touched her earpiece. "Admiral Rodriguez, please proceed with Operation Starfall." Kethvar felt a vibration through the ship's hull. Then another. His communication officer's panicked voice crackled through the intercom. "Ambassador, our sensors detect multiple objects approaching from Earth's surface. On the main display, dozens of small craft were rising from Earth's atmosphere. They looked primitive, cobbled together from metal and determination rather than the sleek lines of proper warships." "What are those?" Kethvar demanded. "Those," Chen said with obvious pride, "are human beings who heard your ultimatum and decided they'd rather die standing than live kneeling." The first wave of human craft reached the Veltar fleet. They were tiny compared to the alien vessels, but they moved with a purpose that made Kethvar's skin crawl. And they weren't just attacking, they were ramming. "Impossible!" Kethvar watched in horror as a human pilot drove his ship directly into the weapons array of a Veltar cruiser. "Your species would sacrifice themselves for strangers? You know what your mistake was, Ambassador." Chen turned from the viewport, and for the first time Kethvar saw something in her eyes that made his blood run cold. "You assumed we'd value our lives more than our freedom. You studied our technology, our military capabilities, our resources, but you never studied us." More human ships were joining the battle now, emerging from hidden bases on Earth's moon, from asteroid installations, from converted civilian vessels. They fought with a ferocity that defied logic, pilots staying at their controls even as their ships came apart around them. "We're not the strongest species in the galaxy," Chen continued, her voice calm despite the chaos outside. "We're not the smartest or the most advanced. But we have something your hegemony has forgotten in its 8,000 years of easy conquest." "What?" Kethvar whispered. "We remember what it means to be free." Chen touched her earpiece again. "All stations, this is Captain Chen. Execute Protocol 7. Kethvar watched in stunned disbelief as Earth itself began to change. Massive doors opened in the planet's crust, revealing weapons that shouldn't exist, railguns that could launch projectiles at significant fractions of light speed, energy batteries that tapped directly into Earth's molten core. "Impossible," he breathed. "Our scouts found no trace of such technology. Because we built it all underground. In the 10 years since your scouts first appeared in our system, Chen's smile returned, but now it carried the weight of humanity's defiance. Did you really think we'd just sit around waiting for you to come back? The battle was turning. The Veltar fleet, designed to intimidate primitive civilizations into surrender, found itself facing an enemy that had spent a decade preparing for this exact moment. Human fighters swarmed between the massive alien ships like angry insects, targeting specific systems with surgical precision. You still cannot win, Kethvar said, though his voice lacked conviction. Even if you destroy this fleet, the hegemony will send others. Maybe, Chen acknowledged. But here's what you don't understand about humans, Ambassador. Every species you've conquered before today has been alone, isolated. When you threatened them, they had only themselves to rely on. She gestured to the tactical display, where new contacts were appearing at the edge of the system. Ships of unfamiliar design, but moving in formation with the human fleet. 3 months ago, we sent out our own ambassadors. To the Zephyrian Republic, to the Free Worlds Alliance, to every independent system within 50 light years. We told them what was coming. We told them that if humanity fell today, their worlds would be next tomorrow. Kethvar stared at the display as more allied ships arrived. The humans had done something no conquered species had ever managed. They had united others against the hegemony. You asked me why we demanded your surrender, Chen said softly. But I think the better question is, why do you think strength always trumps courage? Why do you believe fear is more powerful than hope? The Veltar dreadnought shuddered as human weapons found their mark. In the distance, one of the hegemony cruisers listed badly, venting atmosphere into space. Your fleet is powerful, Ambassador, but it was designed to conquer slaves, not fight free beings. And that, Chen said as she headed for the door, is why you're going to lose. As the conference room's lights flickered and alarms began to sound throughout the ship, Kethvar finally understood the look in the human's eyes. It wasn't madness or desperation. It was the look of someone who had found something worth dying for, and had chosen to live for it instead. The human had smiled and asked why because she already knew the answer. And now as his mighty fleet burned around him, so did he.